be any other way. Because there was only one way, right? There was nothing else. There was nothing else. Do you know, if I have a friend, but we could also not be friends, so I'm happy you're my friend. But if it's not possible, I had to be your friend, I better give you a gift, right? How could I not be your friend? You see, Haman thought that he can wipe out the Jews, because he thought a Jew is on the level. It so happens that there are Jews in the world. So unhappen them, right? But Purim, suddenly we realized it's God's world, right? And we are God's people. It's not, it so happens that we're here. We are here. You know what evil is telling you? It could also be another way. That's the only thing evil is telling you. You really think you have to live a good life? You can also live a bad life. Purim, so much oneness. Can't be any other way. And I tell you something very, very deep. We talked about it so often. You know why parents and children don't get along so much sometimes? Because, you know, it's possible, God forbid, I shouldn't have children. And it's also possible I could have another baby. I had this baby. Mazel tov, it's sweet. But imagine if it could never be that this baby should not be my baby. Different kind of relationship. Purim is v'day v'shalom l'chol zara. Listen to this. When I disguise myself, imagine suddenly I'll walk in straight like a lulav with a tie and with like, God forbid, take a shave. You know, the Munketcher Rebbe, when he saw a man shaven without hurting anybody's feelings here, he would walk up and say, you know, you look like your mother. Because God created a man to have a beard, but so please, those who shave, please don't be angry at me, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Just a Purim dick joke. Anyway, now listen to this. I'm getting some Purim dick ready. What did I want to say? What were we talking about? What were we talking about? What? What? Yeah, I wanted to say something. Oh, when I disguise myself. Or imagine I'll walk in and I'll look like the president of Temple Emmanuel. It's possible, right? Why is it a disguise? Because it is possible I could be somebody else also, right? So I have to tell them, you know, I'm not the one I disguise myself to, I really am what I am. But imagine if I couldn't be anything else but what I am. So it's not a disguise, it's just cute, it's a joke, right? It's not a disguise. If you know Purim, you walk around to disguise yourself. And you show the world, you know, I couldn't be anything but what I am. I couldn't be anything else. I can put myself on garments like I don't know what. I couldn't be anything else, right? I'm a Yidele. There's one God. There's one friend. So holy, so devout, so special. So special. Anyway, get Yom Tov, friends, get Yom Tov, get Yom Tov. We should have a good Purim, and we should taste the holiness of Purim, you know, the holiness of dancing, the holiness of clapping in your hands. You know, sometimes I come to a wedding, I'm sure you too, and there was no joy. Sometimes you come to a wedding and it blows your mind. You know what it depends upon? Very simple. If he could have married somebody else, and she could also marry somebody else, it so happens they got married, you say mazel tov, and someone says, hey, clap. It just doesn't go, you know. Someone says, dance like mad. I'd like to, you know, I have to. It just doesn't. But if it couldn't be any other way, I look at the couple, Gewalt, right? They must have met a Mount Sinai, where else, you know? So I danced like mad, right? Because it couldn't be any other way. Couldn't be any other way. So just remember, friends, on Yom Kippur, there could be another way, but I know about this way, I want to do it. Purim, there's only one way. There's only one God. There's only one Torah. And the Torah gets into my bones so deep. You see, if there are many ways, then if I want to know the way, I have to read a book. Well, if there's only one way, I can get drunk and I'll still know the way. So Purim, I don't open a book. I'm drinking, giving gifts to friends, walking around, giving money to the poor, sitting, eating like a dog. In the middle I get up and dance like mad, clap like mad, eat some more, drink like more, get up again, dance like mad. Because there's only one way. There's only one thing in the world. You know, it's possible sometimes to talk so much about God that you really forget that there was one God, you know? It's possible. You know, sometimes you can write a book on love and forget that you really have to love also. Starts writing a book. Anyway, the story is that the Purim, the first Rebbe, said that he says, the old Kotzker Chassidim, they really knew where it's at. Everybody knows Kotsk, you know, it's fire. From all the holy Rebbes who were anti-hypocrisy, Kotsk was the strongest, you know, Kotsk. Kotzker Rebbe says an honest sinner is better than a fake holy man, you know. See, I tell you, basically, there's such a thing. The Lubliner, the Holy See of Lublin had two friends. One was absolutely holy, and the other one was absolutely really unholy. So they asked him, the holy man, but the other one. So he says, I tell you, I can't stand split people. You know? I can't stand half people. So this one is really absolutely holy. This one is absolutely not. See, he's not. He's not so good, you know. But he's whole. But anyway, Kotsk, very strong. So he says like this. At one time, you know, most Kotsk Chassidim were schleppers, poor people, but some of them had a little bit of money, some were rich. So he says, at one time I found myself in the house of this rich Kotzker Chassid, and in walks this little poor Yidele, and he has a letter from the Kotzker Rebbe. And this Yidele had a daughter, he had to marry her off, and he had no money. So the Kotzker Rebbe gave him a letter to this rich man, saying to the rich man, please, make a wedding for this poor girl. And a wedding costs maybe, let's say, 500 rubles. So the poor man walks in, and the Chedushirim says, I was there. Okay, the poor man hands over the letter to the rich man. The rich man reads the letter, looks at the poor man, reads the letter again. This goes on, I don't know, countless times. Finally, he takes out 1 ruble and gives it to the poor man. 1 ruble, you know. He needs 500 rubles. He says, you know, 1 ruble, you know, I went to the Rebbe and he gave me a letter to you. He says, I'm sorry, that's all you're getting from me. he begins to beg, just doesn't go. So what can he do, Nebuch? The poor man walks out and walks back home. And the village where he lives is maybe by foot. If you walk like a schlepper, it's 10 hours. Your horse and wagon goes fast. Shurim says, I didn't understand why didn't he? The Rebbe writes him a letter. Why doesn't he do what the Rebbe says to him? But you don't ask. This is about 2-3 hours later. I see there's a big commotion in the rich man's house. Like, they're baking and like gewalt. Now, really for a wedding. Obviously he's making the wedding for the poor girl. Then I see him going off in a wagon, coming back, loaded with garments, all kinds of beautiful things. Then he says to me, you want to come with me? I said, sure, I wanted to see what's going on there. Okay, we travel, maybe 2-3 hours, we catch up with the poor man. The poor man sees us and, he wonders, but the rich man doesn't say anything. He says, hey, come on the wagon. And they drive. Slowly, the poor man realizes they're on the way going to him, So they arrive in the house and he sees absolutely everything he needs for the wedding is on the wagon. So he says to the rich man, why didn't you tell me right away you're going to make the wedding for me? He says, I'll tell you, when you walked in, you thought all you need is a letter. You completely forgot you need God. So, had no other way of helping you, There's another story like this, also a very strong story. A little peasant, this peasant ideas, small ideas. They had no children. Shouldn't happen to anybody. I wish they have children. They shouldn't. So he came to the Tzemach Tzedek, one of the holiest masters, and he says, Rabbi, please bless me to have children. So the Tzemach Tzedek says, I have a set fee for blessing people to have children, 300 rubles. In those days, 300 rubles is a fortune. So the poor man says, if I sell my house and my chickens and the sheep I have, everything, I would maybe, my money is maybe 50 rubles, that's all I have. Tzemach Tzedek says, listen, I didn't come to you, you came to me, right? And my fee is 300 rubles. Strange, He comes back home and tells his wife, I thought so much he's such a holy man, and here I'm coming in, and he says he has a set fee, 300 rubles. His wife says, you don't know how to talk to him. You've got a bargain, you have to know how to talk to him. Okay, he goes right back to the Rebbe, and he says, Rebbe, if I would give you 50 cash, would that... So Moshe says, listen, brother, I can only tell you, this is my fee for blessings, 300 rubles. He goes back home again, and so his wife says, listen, let me do it, I know how to talk to this character. Okay, they come back, and she walks in there, and Mama starts yelling and crying, and she says, what's going on there? I thought you're a holy man, and here, I'm so poor, we have nothing, and you can't bless us, can't you just go down on your price a little bit or something? And then Tzemach Tzedek says, I'm sorry, no, this is my price. So finally she says to her husband, he really thinks we need him. There's one God, he'll give us children. The Tzemach Tzedek says, why did you wait so long? He says, go home and God bless you with children, You see, they thought you get children by tricks. You go to rabbi, you bless, you buy. They think this is what it is. Different things. The story is that the Lubliner, the holy Lubliner said, I was learning by Rabbi Shmerke, and sometimes you can study the Torah, God's Word, and forget it's God's Word, It's possible. So he says, the Rebbe Rab Shmelke told me that every 15 minutes I should pull his sleeves to remind him that there's one God. Yeah. So he says, I want you to know, he says, it never happened that he says, it never happened that they had to remind him. He says, because every few minutes he would mamish go, he says, oh, there's one God, there's one God. He says, one time, he says, I nearly thought I have to remind him, and 1 second before I had a chance to pull his sleeves, he says, ah, there was one God. Everything they're doing, while they're doing it, it is possible to forget what you're doing.